Unbroken is the true story of Louis Zamperini, a promising young Olympic runner from Torrance, California, who was called into service on a bomber crew in the Pacific Ocean during World War II. While on a search and rescue mission, Zamperini's plane went down in the Pacific Ocean. He and two other survivors drifted for 47 days, living on rainwater and the occasional fish or bird they could catch. One of the survivors was badly injured during the crash and died.
His bomber, down in the Pacific, Zamperini survived on the open water for 47 days.
Zamperini and the other survivor were finally nearing land when they were captured by the Japanese Navy. The Japanese did not inform America of the capture of Zamperini, and after some time he was declared officially dead, but his family refused to give up hope that he might return alive. The men were treated gently at first, given time to recuperate in a hospital. Then suddenly they were transferred to a Japanese prisoner camp where they expected they would be executed. Because of his relative fame as an Olympic runner, Zamperini was selected for especially harsh treatment by the Japanese guards, but he was not killed. He was sent to a series of prisoner camps, eventually arriving at a camp in Tokyo, where he received particularly brutal treatment by a guard the men called the Bird.
I got good news and bad news. Hello, Mother and Father. This is your Louis talking. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I'm now interned in a Tokyo prisoner of war camp, and I'm being treated as well as can be expected under wartime conditions.
Louis was in prison camp in Tokyo when American forces dropped the atomic bombs on Japan that ended the war. Cut off from news, the prisoners knew almost nothing about the war until their guards informed them it was over. Louis was hospitalized and then sent home to Torrance. His life became troubled, however. He married a woman after knowing her for only 2 weeks. He had flashbacks to his days as a prisoner, and he had terrible dreams of being beaten by the Bird. He soon began to drink too much, and his wife told him she wanted a divorce. After a visit to a revival meeting, Zamperini turned his life around. He saved his marriage, quit drinking, and found his nightmares diminishing. He began giving talks and making appearances to share his story. He even found it possible to forgive the Bird for his brutality.
This is a letter I wrote to Mr. Shiro Watanabe. As a result of my prisoner of war experience under your unwarranted and unreasonable punishment, my post-war life became a nightmare. I was not so much due to the pain and suffering as it was to the tension of stress and humiliation that caused me to hate with a vengeance. Under your discipline, my rights not only as a prisoner but also as a human being were stripped from me. It was a struggle to maintain enough dignity and hope to live until the war's end. The post-war nightmares caused my life to crumble, but thanks to a confrontation with God through the evangelist Billy Graham, I committed my life to Christ. Love replaced the hate I had for you. Christ said, "Forgive your enemies and pray for them." As you probably know, I returned to Japan in 1952, was graciously allowed to address all the Japanese war criminals at Sugamo prison. I asked them about you and was told that you probably had committed harikiri, which I was sad to hear. At that moment, like the others, I also forgave you and now would hope that you would also become a Christian.
Laura Hillenbrand's main purpose in writing this book was to recreate Louis' story with the greatest similarity to the facts as Louis told them to her. She effectively did so by writing out each and every event in Louis' life exactly how he experienced them. She did not try to euphemize the facts to lighten the mood of the book or make it less intense. Instead, she stuck to the truth to create an insightful account of the life of Louis Zamperini, a man with incredible strength and courage. The book is written in chronological order, which makes it really easy to follow what is happening. Hillenbrand's tone is very matter-of-fact and straightforward. She uses simple and familiar diction to make the story flow more smoothly for the reader. Hillenbrand's use of imagery and description allow the reader to watch the scenes play out in their heads as if they are standing right next to Zamperini as the events unfold. She also uses emotional appeals to help the reader form a connection between themselves and the story. The following quote from the book employs imagery, description, and emotional appeals. Louis and his father rode together to the train station. The platform was crowded with uniformed young men and crying parents, clinging to one another, saying goodbye. When Louis embraced his father, he could feel him shaking.